For the players.
I'm Ryan Betson, and this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast. With over 50 years of playing PlayStation, like 20 years in that games media combined, I'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation. Now, I got to remember this part too. This PlayStation conversation happens every Tuesday morning, normally on your podcast services, 8 a.m. on the YouTubes, 8 a.m. on the podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. But if you want to join the conversation, you can check out our social medias, Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter, etc. All those links are in the description below. But if you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/popculturist. We watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. And if you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. And if you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturists. Now, I put a post up on social media, near about 12-ish hours ago, 24 hours ago at time of recording, saying, no episode this week. Max's internet's all kinds of fucked. And you're just going to have to take a week off. I get this nice little sassy GIF response on Twitter, and I was like, oh, son of a bitch, I just had the greatest idea. And that is to be joined by Joshua Rosa from Dodge, Parry, and Roll, an actual listener of the show as well, which makes it even funner. How are you, my dude?
I'm well. Thank you for responding so well to my GIF.
No, it was perfect.
Spent a lot of time. Yeah, you got to find the right GIF. You know what I mean? Like, context is lost in a response, in a message.
There is an art form to how to communicate with GIFs, like finding the right one, hunting for it, and then you got to be very careful because that time gets a little bit too long if you spend like 20 minutes trying to find the right GIF. But thankfully, you were like, bam, then and there, and with a Kurt Angle GIF, no less. So you got me with the wrestles as well. But no, you reached out. You and I have been chatting for a little while in the background, trying to organize some time to either for me to join you guys or for you to come over here. Like, we originally pitched the idea of doing the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater review chat, and then I just didn't play it. But now I got the PS5 Pro. I jumped back in, and I was in the game for about 8 seconds, and Eva took a jumpsuit open. I was like, suddenly I'm back in the game. But yeah, like it's good. So tell the lovely people about yourself, who you are, what you do, and so on and so on.
Yeah, so I'm one of the hosts for Dodge, Parry, and Roll. We're a fortnightly show, so we're slightly more lazy than those that do the weekly podcast. We're like, who wants to listen to, in our case, Vinny and I talk weekly. So we said fortnightly is probably the best approach. But we're very similar, independent Australian video game podcast, but we do spend a lot of time talking.
Don't forget about the existential crisis, because like we are all living in the most existential of crises right now.
Oh, exactly, and that's where we spend most of our time, to be honest. We're either talking about my lawn care regime outside, right?
I have become invested in your lawn. That is true.
It was a whole thing.
And the tiles, the paving.
Yeah, sand. We spent a lot of time leveling the backyard. That was a big project. And you can imagine with 2 kids, 2 dogs, sand gets everywhere. Right? I think that's a quote from Star Wars.
It is.
I think. But yeah, we talk video games. We talk life. We talk grass. We talk children. On YouTube, Dodge, Parry, and Roll.
And now on audio services as well.
Yeah, that is new.
That's like, that is like last episode. I think that's where it came into play. Or
yeah, Vinny sprung that on me. He's like, "Oh, we're also on audio feeds. You probably should start talking about that." But I'm like, okay, I probably should do that. That's what a good host should do.
No, fantastic. But yeah, aside from that, you're actually a listener of the show as well. Like, I just have to ask, like, how the fuck did you find us?
So I'm very OCD. So when we launched, so this is actually my second go around at a podcast. Vinny and I actually launched a podcast in 2020 during the famous pandemic, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time looking at other Australian podcasts, particularly in the space. So I'm a huge PlayStation fan, spend a lot of my time. Thanks, Vinny. 5th time go around. And yeah, I was just doing some research on some other Australian podcasts, and you guys had popped up, and I'd seen that, pop culturists had been around the block.
There we have.
And yeah, started listening, and here we are. Fast forward 6 years later, and I've hijacked and appeared on the show. So
look, 6 years is like not bad. Like, because we haven't been speaking for that long. Probably like a year, maybe. So like, even then, you're sort of just holding on, simmering in the background. Like, it's cool. It's like it's one of those things that, as you said, we've been around the block and we've been doing this for this is what I think our 10th, 11th year. And it's interesting, like, our peak was so long ago, like, so fucking long ago. And we are just riding the wave since. Like, it's just absolute tenure is the only reason we can ever do anything that we do. Just because we're still around, I guess. But, like, I know people listen. I see the numbers. I see the downloads. But it's nice to actually speak to someone that does. Because you're like, oh, my God, that's really cool. Yeah, and then in turn, it allowed me to discover your show, which, whenever it pops up on my YouTubes, I'll give it a listen. Now, I think since getting YouTube Premium, it's made life so much easier. You could just mute that shit. YouTube Premium is the best fucking money you could ever spend. Like, I know I'm not the only person with that sentiment, but dear God, was that an incredible purchase. But
you can't go back.
No, I can't. Like, I tried to watch something the other day. My son was watching something on his iPad. I was watching with him, and I was like, oh, it's an ad. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
And I just, you can't get back. I'm tangenting myself. But yeah, so like, yeah, you've joined the show this week because Max is he's out of commission. So for those playing at home, Max lives in an estate near myself. Some shit went down. The whole NB, like just the NBN cable, this big cable that says NBN on the side, I assume, severed by some construction workers, and now his whole estate / suburb is just living in the dark ages. So he's unable to join us this week. We're going to throw it in, but we thought we're going to jump it instead. But instead of that, this is where we ask, how's our week been? I guess because it's the first time we've ever chatted with you, but let's still go with it. How has your week been?
Week's been good.
Yeah?
Week's been good. Coming off a bit of an Easter, we go camping with my wife's family every Easter. So we got back from that, and then got a little bit of a cold, which, not a big fan of. Blocked nose, a little bit of a cough. So I've been dealing with that, but I've got 2 kids, a 2.5-year-old and a 2-month-old. So it has just been like, time doesn't really exist in this house. It's kind of like you wake up and it's
things happen,
going.
and then
I can't click, but and I'm clicking, and things are happening, and then you kind of sit down at the end of the day. It's 8 o'clock, and you're like, well, there's another day done, and then all of a sudden a week goes by. But things have been good. Vinny and I, so Vinny, my co-host, we were supposed to hang out over the weekend, but because of the sickness that was happening with the kids, we had to postpone. So I think he's under the impression that I use the kids as an excuse. And we spoke about that on our show. But now that I'm here, I can say that wasn't the case.
No, but look, they can be used as good excuses too. Just put it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're very, very helpful when you need them to.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you done that before?
Use my kid as an excuse all the time. All
Yeah.
the time. I've used my kid as an excuse to like get shit. I've used my kid as an excuse to like avoid shit. Like, it's clever. It's smart. It's just, it's good hustle is what it is. But, man, I was going to say this before, but it's so, because like you said, you've only checked out our stuff since 2020, right? It's just so bizarre to have to retrain my brain to say Josh again. So for those that may not know of like the lore for the players, is pop culture started with myself and my friend Josh Saunders. Started as a radio show, whatever, up until 2018 where he chose to step away, and he rocked up one more time since we chat occasionally, but life lifed and he had to step away. So then I had to transition my brain to say Max instead of Josh, and now it's like, all right, go back to saying Josh, because it's like the old times but it's new times. But it's good feels. But yeah, I'm glad you've had a good week. And as Mute in the chat has said, funny enough, a good friend Joel from Anagame has jumped in going, Josh Saunders looks different tonight. That he does. The beard drastically less. There's
no beard going on here.
It's just gone from top to bottom. It's done an old twist.
Yeah.
Mute jumps in and says, and the best in Australia. Thank you very much. Well, look, don't say the best because there's another Australian podcast here right now. I want to, we're all good. We're all fucking fantastic. Australia makes good shit. They've also understood, I understand those wire damage feelings, and to comment on your Easter camping, real camping, unlike my backyard camping that we did over Easter.
Yeah. Well, I will say we were in a cabin. So whether you want to call that real camping, we were at a place where people chose to be in tents.
You didn't, because it was the smart decision.
No. Yeah,
better.
We've done the tents like once or twice, but again, you know how we were talking about using kids as an excuse. We used to get there late, and my father-in-law used to set up the tent for us.
Oh,
and then I
smart.
think he was starting to get like, I think you're using me a little bit here to get the tent set up. So he's like, I'm not doing that anymore. So I was like, all right, we're in a cabin.
So suddenly camping just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. About myself though, like, I don't know, my week's been pretty chill. Not too much to report that I can recall. I worked a wrestling show this weekend. I worked Renegades of Wrestling over in Essendon. It was fantastic. The ladder match was utterly insane. But that was really, really good. Fuck, did I do anything else this week? This is the problem. Like, if the day gets shifted, I recall my week based on the show. Like, I end my week with the recording of the pod, and then a whole new week starts again. So, like, I'm trying to think. What did I do? Probably not much. Admittedly, I have been, thankfully, playing some games, though. So let's get into what we have been playing. I'm going to start things off talking about a game that it's finally made its way to the PlayStation in Starfield. So big thank you to the team over at Bethesda Australia and PowerUp PR for providing me the review code for Starfield. They previously gave kind enough to share a code with us back at the PC launch to check that out. I played it for a couple of hours. I really had a good time with it. I thought it was fine, but I was always holding out hope that one day it would come to my preferred platform and I could really like sink my teeth into it. And that's pretty much what I've done. So it's still early days in comparative to Bethesda games. I'm thinking I'm sitting them around 11-ish hours at the moment. There are some interesting alterations to the Bethesda formula that I'm feeling that is altering how I'm playing. Now, Josh, have you played Starfield at all?
No. I actually don't have a deep history with Bethesda.
Really?
I was one of those unfortunate players that played Skyrim on the PS3 and said, this ain't working.
Yeah.
So,
that memory leak was brutal.
Yeah, that was rough. Just keep all the doors closed and just...
Don't drop anything.
Don't drop anything.
So like I just recently I talked about on the show, I finally picked up the PS5 Pro and I've been diving into various titles in the enhanced catalog, and one of them was Oblivion. And then the second I booted up, I immediately fell back into it dangerously. So I was kind of primed myself to then jump into Starfield, thinking that even though I played it, in 2023, that was near 2.5, close to 3 years ago since that came out, I don't recall Starfield all that well. It starts very differently. There's none of that big grandiose entrance that you normally get. It's just kind of like, hey, here you are. Here's how you fit into the world. That things are happening now. We're moving. So quickly you start getting into motion. Next thing you have a ship. So the onboarding seems really, really quick. It's enough for you to go, this is who you are. This is how you fit in the world. This is your ship. These are the people that you are kind of involved with. Go and do what you want to do. And that throws me off immediately, because it alters how I think about the game, knowing that normally you kind of get into the story and the investment of it all. And so initially I found myself going, all right, well, let's just see we'll just follow the storyline and see where it goes. And then I noticed something else. As I fly from this first place to the next, I arrive, and in a very similar vein to No Man's Sky, you land and then it's like, here's a whole planet for you to fuck with. Now, the planet's not as full and jam-packed as like, any of the major cities or areas that you experience, but there's still enough on this whole planet that it's going to take some time. And as someone that when I would play Oblivion or Skyrim or most sort of role-play games, if I'm traversing from A to B, I'm stopping it near everything on the way. I'm like, oh, there's a little mine over there. I'll go clear the mine out. I'll go check out this fort, right? So I'm like constantly just ducking off the main path. Starfield immediately has forced me to play differently because no longer can I do that. I can't just be like, I'm going to spend, it's not just 20 minutes into a little dungeon. It's a planet. And I'm like, I don't think I can just hang out here for the next 4 hours and clear out this entire planet. I want to, and trying to go against that I wouldn't call it OCD, but like that compulsion to be like, you gotta like check every corner, dude. Like, what if there's a valuable over there that you've missed? I'm like, shit, that's a good point. Why do I want to go do that? Because I'm someone when in Oblivion or whatever, I like to at least have one of every weapon. I don't know why. Something I've always done. I don't care about anything else. Don't care about spells or tomes or whatever. Is I open this one chest in my house and it has one of every weapon that I find. Can't do that in Starfield, I'm finding. There's already enough variations in like the guns that that there's a modified version. It's got barrel and this and that and that. I'm like, okay, I can't play how I would normally play a Bethesda game. Like it's fundamentally changing all of it. And I'm kind of digging it for that reason. So as I said, returning to Oblivion, it felt like putting on an old pair of shoes, and it was really comfortable. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna walk the path I've walked 1,000 times before. My character build's the exact same. It's a dark elf with heavy armor and swords and shields with a bit of destructive power. That's it. I play the same thing every time. Focus on persuasion, lockpicking, those things. Where here, I'm like, ooh, okay. This is a little bit different. Like, obviously, gunplay is very important and really surprisingly good, actually. So, yeah, I don't know how to explain it any, but I feel like I'm talking in a loop because I'm trying to find the right words to explain how the delivery of Starfield has actively made me to play it differently than I would any other Bethesda game.
Yeah, and I think that's like you see that same reaction from like people like yourself and other big Bethesda fans, where it's like, some of those Bethesda fans really love the game, where others have that kind of push and pull of trying to play it like they would a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls and not being able to do that. You do have to kind of rework your brain in terms of, I have to let it go. I can't explore this entire planet head to toe and do that 1,000 times. I need to just pick and choose where I spend my time. And there is fun in that once you get over that hurdle, I can imagine.
Yeah, and I'm getting there. Like it's itching me, but like there is a little sense of relief, and I think my priority now is, rather than collecting weapons or whatever, I'm like, oh, how can I make my ship better? Like maybe that'll be the thing that I'll focus on. And then it seems like, it's not as simple as like just get a new engine, tick box, new engine. Like you can actively go in and not quite like a Lego fashion, but there is enough flexibility to be like, I'm going to put that there, I'm going to move that there, I'm going to put that up there. And next thing you know, you've got the Millennium Falcon or something cool, right? You could actually...
The gunny ship of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
I don't know Kingdom Hearts because, not my space. I tried. Not my space, but I'll take your word for it. I'm sure Joel in the chat or Vinny, if he's in there, can confirm, Max included. I think I'm the only one that never understood Kingdom Hearts. But yeah, like it's... that with a mix of No Man's Sky energy, but it feels like No Man's Sky with money. And I always liked the idea of No Man's Sky. When the game came out, I remember we reviewed it, and that was when we're giving numbers at the time, and I just gave it a flat 5 out of 10 because it was like the game is serviceable, it's fun, the idea is kind of there, it just didn't stick the landing in the same way, and I feel that like this is probably a bit more than that. At the moment, like a good 7-ish, 8-ish, because it takes a lot of those principles, like even down to the big laser cannon cutter thing you use to break rocks, because apparently in the future when we traverse space, we're just forever breaking rocks. But yeah, like the characters are interesting, like it looks fantastic. It still has a little bit of that creative engine jank to it, but it does look, much cleaner, much sharper. And the beauty of the PS5 Pro as well is, you know, when you look up at the space and you just see the stars and all the different colors and the HDR, and it's so pretty. And there is, you know, there's a story we'll talk a little bit later in the news about like performance concerns. Not so much for me, but I'll touch upon that a little bit later. The quests seem relatively straightforward. Of a lot of it is go there, do a thing, find a note, which is most RPGs. And I always find it, I'm actually very curious on your thoughts, is I always find it difficult to criticize something like an RPG for their quest types, because they are pretty universal. No matter what you play, it's go here, do this, collect that, kill this, read this, come back. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it depends on the game itself. I think some RPGs play in the create your own adventure, right? And you're not so much focused on the mission types, but it's more about your character, your build, and like how your character interacts with other characters. But there's also, I think, a lot of RPGs that do focus on story and storytelling and the way that story is delivered. So I think it just really depends on the game itself, who's making it, and what the expectation is for those games. Like for me, like I'm not a big Western RPG player. I spend a lot of my time with RPGs in the JRPG space. So those games typically have a very different flair. It's a lot more based on story and characters, with those deep RPG systems kind of laid in on top of that. So for me, that's important. And like when we get to what I'm playing, I'll touch on the fact like story is what really drives me through a game. But again, I think there is fun with just being able to exist in a world. And for what I've seen of Starfield, like I think it's pretty. I think a lot of people were quick to kind of judge the janky character models and things like that, which has been in Bethesda games since Bethesda games existed. But I actually think the game's like pretty. Like I think it's a good looking game. And some of the screenshots I've seen of like what you've said, you know, being on a planet and having another planet in the background and the stars and things like that, I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's just not one of those games that it's not a Josh game, which is fine, you know.
Well, it's just in the same vein, because I appreciate your clarification, because yeah, like for myself, like I do spend more time in Western RPGs than I do JRPGs. And I'm not adverse to them. I do give them a lot of shit, but like mostly because I find most JRPGs tend to do the same shit over and over again. It's the same design style. I can't take those high pitched, you know, voices. It just drives me insane.
End up finding God at the end somehow.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, in the chat, first time chatter, Mark Shockey, what's up, my dude? Says, hello guys. Do you play the main game? Go unlock the DLC. I'm currently playing the main game. So I did find myself kind of immediately distracted, and I sort of wandered off the main storyline, and I found myself doing the shattered space stuff, and I went, whoa, this is kind of cool, but I feel like I'm not ready yet. So I did kind of have to do a quick 180 and go back from where I was coming from, because I felt like I'm going to head down a path that I don't have, you know, the leveling for, the weapons, the gear, none of it, and it's going to go real bad for me. It's like, once again, like rocking up in Oblivion and then going straight to the Shivering Isles. Like, it's probably not the best idea in the world. But yeah, so the story's like, it's the beginnings of it. Like, what I quite like is the faction that you initially connect with, a faction called the Constellation, and they're a faction. Then their entire motive is to explore space. So that is the faction you initially assimilate with. It's like quite a cool idea, because it then reinforces the idea of just fucking go. You know, it's kind of the game very directly telling you just go and have fun. Like, see where you end up. Where, like, I know that's always a sentiment that's put into open world RPGs and very specifically Bethesda RPGs. But it does feel immediately overwhelming to see think about the idea of space. And like, as someone who has a pretty, you know, like deep-seated fear of space as well, not because of its vastness, because it's just I hate heights, and I don't like falling, and space is just forever falling. So like, it's fun for me to sort of like almost go against my fear as well. It's like when I played A Plague Tale. I fucking hate mice, hate them.
Not a big fan.
Fucking hate them. So I was like, I'm going to play this game and just see if I can control my panic attack. But yeah, like not quite that with this. It's a bit more of the fun exploring. It does feel like a really fun solo experience as well. Like I have some companion. I think her name's Sarah. She's from Constellations, I think. But it's one of those things where I just fucking gun it in a direction, and then she appears and like fuck. And it's just like Lydia, you know, in Skyrim, she just appears out of nowhere, and you just dump shit on her, and then you fuck off again. So yeah, that's kind of, I'm trying to think like.
You think you'll finish it?
Oh, I don't finish games. I get too distracted.
Yeah, that would drive me insane. But that's the nature of the beast.
That's ADHD for you, my friend. Like it's something you just deal with. Like many years, it's like, oh, I'll get distracted and go something shiny. And I try my best to go back and beat things, especially things that I can a bit more control over in that sense. Like Resi, like I had to finish Resi because like I know that there's an end point, right? Where like I've never finished the main storyline of Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout 3, 4, none of them. Because I just kind of play until I get my fill and then I fucking wander off. It was Joel in the chat jumps in and goes, a fun solo experience, you say, in space? hand. You can't laugh in Han Solo. But I like that though.
Star Wars reference, eh?
Yeah. You're not a Star Wars guy?
No.
Oh,
not famously not in my friend group because I discovered Star Wars during the new trilogy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And yeah. So, you know, Watto was my favorite character for
Wait, when you say
reasons.
new trilogy, do you mean like as in the prequels or the sequels?
The latest trilogy. So not the 90s.
Sequels. Okay,
yes.
Cool.
Yes.
You can say because like Watto, like the prequels, I that's my Star Wars. That's what I grew up on. So like even they get a lot of hate, and fairly so because most of them are shit, but there's some good parts in there.
The reason I watched it is for Liam Neeson because I'm a big Liam Neeson fan.
Yeah, he's dope. But then he dies.
So that's how I got to Star Wars.
I could go on a whole side tangent about Phantom Menace and its inability to actually have a main fucking character. But also, in hindsight, trade negotiations have never actually been more important than ever before. So, like, maybe people should consider watching episode 1 and to relearn about blockades and trade routes and...
Watto for president. Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, hindsight, what a racist fucking character.
Yeah.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. Even like, New Gunray and the Trade Federation, they're also incredibly racist too.
Different times.
Yeah. It was like 20 years ago, not even.
Well, it changed in 20 years.
But yeah, I think that's a big part of it as well as being a Star Wars fan. And like, I know I'm not the only person to sort of have this sentiment, but it does kind of have that like smugly Star Wars feel. Like, which is interesting because, like, I've always been a fan of the Jedi, and I always find that the most interesting part of Star Wars. Even so, like, when I played Outlaws last year or the year before, whenever the hell that game actually came out, I was playing it until I went, this is not Star... Like, it's Star Wars, but it's missing something that is inherently Star Wars. I'm finding some of that in Starfield. And I think that's just having, like, that weird... 70s futuristic NASA feel, everything's like tubular TVs and shitty and, like that real, there's a particular term for it. I think that helps as well, but really enjoying it. I hope to spend a lot of time with it, just to go in and just like fuck around for a while. And, the missions don't seem so massively consequential that if I go away for a week and come back, I'll be like, oh, okay. But you yourself, because before we jumped into the call, I did ask my, hey, so what have you been playing? And yours is pretty much the same answer as Max. It's Crimson Desert.
Crimson Desert. I think I've got a different view and a different experience of the game. Last time I checked the clock, I was about 30 hours in. So all right. This is one of those, like, I don't absolutely love the game, but yet I've spent 30 hours and continue to play it. But yeah, spending my time with Crimson Desert, and I spoke about this on our show that I'm kind of playing this game until Pragmata comes out. And I'm comfortable.
Reviews are out? You keen?
Yeah, 86, I think, on Metacritic, good. Which is great. Cap God doesn't miss.
I think that was me. Sorry, keep going. I'm going to see what my draft pick was.
Yeah, we also do picks. I think I was off by 2. So, Vinny, if you're listening, I'm still ahead of you, but important context. So yeah, Crimson Desert, about 30 hours in, enjoying my time with the game. And this is something I said on our show. I think if I had played this game in 2015, like 10 years ago, I think I would have a completely different analysis of the game. Being a father, working full time. Playing a game like Crimson Desert is very much taxing, but there is a lot of, I think, enjoyment to be had with the game for the right player at the right time. And I think I could have been that player 10 years ago. I'm enjoying it. It's, a lot of, talking about Bethesda games, a lot of people are comparing the experience of Crimson Desert to what they experienced with Skyrim. And that is very much to say you exist in this world, go out and explore. And there has been moments in the game where I've gotten that feeling of, I'm just not going to do the mainline story quest. I'm just going to go and explore. And it's like, all right, I've, traveled to a new part of the map. I've discovered a random pirate ship in the middle of the ocean. I've gone on that ship. It's led me to an island. There's a, unique enemy type. I've discovered 2 hats. One hat lights up when I'm near treasure. The other spurts water out of the ground every time. Oh, yeah,
because they've got magic hats in this game. I keep forgetting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's very much for that player, for the players, for the player that just wants to exist in the world.
Not us.
There you go. Yeah. Sony, don't come knocking. And I think if you're that type of gamer that just wants to exist in a world, explore, a relatively good combat system, really deep mechanics. I think my major fault with the game, and this is maybe where it pushes me away, kind of like you talk about the magnets, kind of like push and pull, is that I do need, in my gaming experiences, like a relatively cohesive story, or at least a compelling plot, and good writing. This game, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about the story of the game, but let's just say the game begins with
Max has touched upon that. So you're Cliff, you rock up and then you fucking die and then you're alive again and then you got to go find your bear friends or something.
Nobody, including Cliff, mentions the fact that he died and came back to life. The 30 hours that I've played. Not even what am I doing here? How did I come back? He wakes up on the shore and then you begin the game.
Okay.
And you have this massive scar on your neck. And Cliff,
has anyone ever walked up and gone, "What's with the scar"?
Not yet. No.
Fucking hell.
And it does this thing, and obviously Crimson Desert's got its backbones in with Pearl Abyss and that MMO style of game. So it's got this weird kind of disjointed storytelling approach. And the very beginning of the game, you're in your camp. Your camp gets attacked. You obviously die, and your team disperses. And the first 30 hours that I played in terms of main plot is kind of like you rebuilding the Grey Mains. Mm-hmm. Where it's kind of like weird is that I've met these characters for like 5 minutes. I don't even know their names. And I'm spending so much time finding them as if they're meaningful characters. The game has if you hold X during cutscenes, it actually fast forwards through a lot of the dialogue. And that is my major sticking point with the game. I actually think this game is really special. I agree with the reviews, though. I think it's a really special 7 out of 10 game. That there's a lot of enjoyment to be had with the game. But it's just lacking, I think, that level of AAA polish that would really take this game into the stratosphere, right? A really compelling plot. I think the world's interesting. It's crazy. You go from, like, medieval towns with dragons to, like, mech suits and jetpacks. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, a more cohesive story, and it does have that kind of MMO layered approach to mechanics, where it's like, all right, now you're decorating your house, and now you're farming, now you're exploring, and then there's combat, and then there's a skill tree, and it just keeps going and going and going. There's multiple characters you can play as. But one thing I will say is I've never seen a game get patched so quickly and so frequently since launch. Like, I'm talking nearly daily. This game's been patched, and it has improved the experience significantly. Because for a game with a really fast-paced combat system, Cliff moves like John Marston from Red Dead Redemption. So you're kind of like quick in combat, but in traversal, you're moving like through mud. But they've started to fix a lot of those things. They made the controls a bit more fluid. People had complaints around the stamina system, around flying. They've fixed that. They've fixed camera controls. So I think this is one of those games, like I said, for the right gamer, could be a game you can spend 200 hours in. For someone like me, as much as I'm happy to put this game down at any point, I've enjoyed the 30 hours that I've had, and I'll continue to play this game till Friday, until Pragmata comes out. And then at that point, it's like, bon voyage.
Yeah, so it's time for space friends.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I gotta go help Diana, get off the moon. So
I have no fucking idea what that game's about, eh? Like, outside of that trailer, I went, yeah, it's not for me. And I've completely, it's complete blinkers. I'm like, Diana, is that the name of the character? Oh, yeah, cool. Like, the moon, I don't really know about the moon, but I'm sure that's all in trailer footage that I just can totally ignored and not put in my memory banks.
I downloaded the demo and I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I have a
Oh, you're going complete cold.
I don't, look, I really, I watch showcases and I'm reading, previews and things like that. So I'm not like blackout on games. But something about a demo doesn't really do it for me. I don't like an experience of a game that I know I'm going to like based on the style of game, the developer, plus the reviews. I'm like, well, I'll just pick it up on Friday and take it from there.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. Like, for myself, like, demos, I download a lot of them with intent, and then I just go, whatever. Or like, I'll play it for 5 minutes and be like, yeah, okay, this feels like what I wanted to feel like. Okay, cool, I'll pick it up. Or I'll email someone or whatever I plan on doing. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, I like that you are having a different experience to it than say Max would. And I also like that you're looking at it, from a very different perspective of, who you were, however many years ago playing games compared to now. So like I'm weirdly, probably the my rigidity in the things that I like, is that there's very few games that I would play now that I don't think I'd play back then, or would give the same level of time. I think now that I have the luxury of choice, I think I tend to dart between things more. Where like when I was younger playing like San Andreas, I'm like, well, how many different ways can I play this one game? And so on. Or how many times can I restart Harvest Moon Back to Nature? And the answer is not enough, because that is genuinely one of the best games ever made. So like, I guess it's just a little bit interesting for myself. But when I do find a game that's for me, I tend to like pinpoint that and I go, oh, you are Betson game. And that did happen to me. And there's a game that I can now finally talk about. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email and it was like, hey, check out this game. It's called Cleaning Up. And I'm like, okay, I hate cleaning up in real life, but for whatever reason, medial tasks in games, big fan. Like, I love my sim games. I love my little cozy games. And the game was giving me this mix between not quite Overcooked, more like a Moving Out meets Tools Up, which some people may know those references. They may at least know like Moving Out, right? Made by the Australian team, SMG, I believe. And Tools Up was a game where you go into a building, you've got to like rip off the wallpaper and replace the wall, do the tiles. It's all a bunch of like, house renovation-y sort of energy. Where Cleaning Up is you have, you go in, you are a cleaner for hire, because I was getting sort of power wash sim energy off it, and it's like 2.5D. You get dropped into a room and you've just got to clean it. So there are 5 tools in total, and you unlock them the more you play. There's about 100-ish levels. There's 100 stars. There's about 25 levels, each level getting 5 stars, and each star is your successful use of that tool in said game. So when the first couple levels, or the first round of levels, you'll get 1 star because you only have 1 tool. Boom, you get your second tool, you get your second one, blah, 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 blah. And then you go back and clear the rest out to get your 5 stars, right? Yeah, so it's a vacuum, a mop. What is it? A vacuum, a mop, air freshener, a hose. Oh, what's the other one?
It sounds like my day-to-day.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah,
routine.
Pretty much. Like, I forgot that 5th one is. It's going to bum me out. But yeah, you'll find like this goo. You've got to like use the you got to like really kind of a broom. Sorry, yeah, you got to get the broom, really kind of work it out, and then vacuum all the bits. You go in the room and like its use of like voxels is kind of pretty good. Like the small condensed spaces, but like every little bit of trash is its own little thing, and they do respond with each other. So if you were to run through the pile of rubbish, each little individual bit would kind of respond. And then once you sort of clean the level, you do the air freshener, whatever, it does a little spin, and then this weird face pops up on the screen, and the house almost talks to you in like this anthropomorphic way, being like, I'm so glad to be clean. I'm like, that's weird, but it was interesting energy. And like you're using this tablet, and on the tablet there's like a little, you know, paperclip clippy, whatever. But there's a bunch of good, reasonably good AI jokes in there as well. And so I pretty much cleaned this game out in an afternoon. It was over Easter weekend. You know, I started playing it, and my kid wanted to do an Easter egg hunt. I'm like, I'm Easter egg hunting right here, man. I'm trying to like unlock all this business. We'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, I chipped out in about 5-ish hours. I did everything that I could conceivably do. And that is my one immediate hurdle with the game. So once I realized that I am absolutely getting a good kick out of this game and I'm wanting to 5-star everything, I'm like, ooh, I want that platinum. I want 100% these trophies. Even if there's no platinum, because the trophy list still isn't live right now, I'm like, oh man, like even if I get 100%, like I'll be happy. Like this would be a good, this is a good, like, you know, good afternoon, or, you know, good 2 sessions. I want to show that I loved it so much by getting 100%. I am stuck at 97%, and I do not know for the life of me what I'm missing. Every tool is upgraded. Every piece of cosmetic is unlocked. Every tool, like you name it. The only thing that I haven't connected is time. They're like like some levels have a timer, but that you don't see the timer, it doesn't acknowledge it. It's not like, oh, beat this time. So unless I'm missing a visual indicator somewhere about getting each level done in a particular time, I cannot work out what it is. So I did email the PR company back being like, yo, I'm having a blast. This game is legitimately rad. Minor problem. Is there any chance you could share with me like the trophy list? I know it's not live yet. I'm clearly just missing one. I'll give you my PSN and you can tell me what one I'm missing. And like, that's all I need to know. Or is it bugged? Because I didn't get a trophy for like getting all the levels 5-starred, right? Like maybe it's bugged out. They came back to me going, we don't know, but we'll let you know. So because the review embargo is lifted, I was like, okay, well, you know, the game's not live for a little while. Yeah, the trophy list isn't up on PSN profiles or the PSN in general. And I'm like, I'm just going to have to keep itching it and waiting, because I was like hoping I could really smash its face in. But yeah, fun little cozy game, you know, with weirdly anthropomorphized levels. Some of them have little challenges. It's like, you know, don't like wet like when you have to hose down stuff. It's like there's a cat in the room, don't wet the cat. So I wet the cat. Trophy. I'm like, yes, you know, like sucked in cat. Yep. So loved it. Really cool experience. I don't even know how much it's going for at the moment. Like when it does come out, it's not a very long game. It's not a very in-depth game, but it's a good. I got to check out, just do it. Listen to a podcast, which is like my favorite things to do. Podcasts, play games, and just rip through it. I just wish I could have 100%ed it. I really, really do. Really. Is there anything else you've checked out this week at all?
No, I'm just ready for Pragmata.
Yeah.
I've got my plan. I'm going to Pragmata, Saros, like let's just now it's the Josh game starting to happen, which is great.
Well, speaking of Saros though, so I did the thing. I went back to Returnal as well. Sorry, just writing to beautiful. Yes, I went back to Returnal. Talked about this last week as well. That game is still fucking killing me. It is brutal. So I'm hoping Saros is a bit better. Like after our good friend Paul did our preview, his preview last week on Saros with us. A big thank you again for him. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to go check it out. It does kind of reshape for me a little bit. I'm like, okay, there's a bit of balancing in there. It's not as like brutally random as I expect it to be. So big win on that. But speaking of going back to things, this week, CD Projekt Red dropped a big old patch for the PS5 Pro version of Cyberpunk 2077, and fucking hell, is that a beautiful update. Go in, lighting's good, even better. Like if you nail that HDR, you go in there and you properly tweak it, like because it's a cyberpunk world and everything's neon, it just pops when it really, really wants to. And you get, with this better ray tracing, like, the darks feel better, light feels more natural. And I think that's kind of what I'm finding mostly in the PS5 Pro is how it uses lighting to make what I would then consider better quality images. Because like lighting is the secret. It's not about resolution. It's not about like how many pixels you get. It's not about like, it's not even like asset quality lighting. You can light something poorly. Sorry, you can light something that looks like shit, but you make it lit well, it will immediately look better and look more realistically. It's why most mobile phone games look like shit, because they can't like properly create shadows and good lighting effects. So that was a good trip to jump back into. But knowing that I had Starfield like literally sitting next to it on my my cross media bar, I was like, don't fall back, Ryan. Go in, check it out, suss it out for a little bit, but don't lose yourself in Cyberpunk again, because it will happen. But I did have one other fun thing this week that I'll touch upon. So my son, who said my son lives with his mum predominantly, but I get a call from him the other day. He's like, Daddy, you're never going to believe it. I'm like, what? And he's got himself a PSVR 2. So it turns out his mum bought it for him yonks ago, hid it in the back of a cupboard, and then change of plans, present decision altered, and then it went, okay, we'll go down this line for a present instead. Pardon me, I forget why. For whatever reason, it's now out in the wild. He's like, what can we play together? And I'm like, I have no idea, because who the fuck plays multiplayer VR games? Didn't say that to him because he's 9. I probably shouldn't say the fuck to my child.
Heat breaker it is, yeah.
Yeah, so we're like, what are we going to do? So I immediately went, we've been very, very lucky. We have this bunch of VR games that we've been given codes for to review over the past. So I went through what we had. I was like, okay, cool. Looked through the store and it was like Among Us VR. I'm like, I'd rather punch myself in the dick. So I didn't do that one. But instead, I was going down the line of like, well, my son's 9. He probably shouldn't be using VR headsets at all. But like, what would it be? What's the safe game for him to play? Like most of them, any of the shooters are real like zombie-based, scary, kind of confronting. Yeah. So we found like a nice middle ground. We ended up going with After the Fall, which is a game from the same studio that did Arizona Sunshine. This is between Arizona Sunshine 1 and 2. Excuse me. And it's fucking fun. Like the game kind of looks like shit because it's VR and it kind of runs like poo, but when I say runs like poo, it's because it's VR. Like it's not, when you're in it, like I didn't feel sick. I didn't want to vomit anywhere. Like especially the last time I used the VR2, I was playing Village and it was like right in that middle of the werewolf scene. And then I turned too quickly and everything went, and then insides wanted to become outsides. So none of that. Like we just spent, about an hour and a bit just going through these levels, just smashing zombies. And it was really, really fun. Because like my son, because he's like, oh, I've done this level before. Because he apparently had played the level before me. I was like, oh, no, you can shepherd me. You can run point. So throughout the entire time, he's like, Daddy, watch out behind you. Look over there. Oh, I gotcha. Oh, the key, it's over here. So he's just kind of calling shots. Like not like to the extent of, those Ubisoft streams where they tell you, like this is how people played The Division. But it was like, there was a lot of that. He's like, do you need ammo? Like, oh, I've got this. I found this over here. And he's just like actively telling me, like, it's great communication for him and it's great teamwork. And we're constantly reviving each other and, making fun of the AI for being garbage, but then thanking them for when they revived us because we both died. It's a cool little moment in a different way for us to play, which is really cool. So now I'm going to have to actively seek other multiplayer VR games that like a father and son could play.
That's awesome. I can't wait for my son to get to that age where I can influence his video game habits. It's a cool moment. VR, like, oh, here, look, son, here's a photo of Shuhei Yoshida with the VR headset with the move controllers on when they were prototyping the thing. Like, get him ingrained in that.
Oh, my son,
right.
This is the thing. This is how I know I've both indoctrinated and have taught my son right. So when he calls me to talk about his PlayStation VR. I then get a follow-up photo from his mum of him with the headset on, playing with it, and he's in his PlayStation pajamas. I'm like, you're my fucking little dude. Like,
That's awesome.
I've indoctrinated this dude hard. Like, hard. It's so good. But yeah, like you wait until you get to find that experience. And like, you know, for me, it was God of War 2018. I've gushed about that show any game anytime I can in the show, and to then him to then fall in love with it as well and connect to it, not just because I love it, but because he enjoys it too. And you know, like it's so good, man. Like I got my kid very early into games. I remember going to EB Games and buying like a smaller cabled controller because he couldn't quite.
Yeah.
So like, how old's your oldest?
Nathan's turning 3 in August.
I'm
so I've
pretty
called
sure.
him Nathan. So I've already, you know, after Nathan Drake, which was a whole story because my wife's like, I kind of like the name Nathan. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm going to play it cool because Nathan was the name I had picked. Like it was always like, I've got a really small, like it's barely a tattoo, but a really small Uncharted tattoo here. It just says Sic Parvis Magna, but it was like Nathan. Yeah, I like that name. Let's go with Nathan. So he's kind of like already there. And there's a bit of a side tangent, but my uncle's a massive gamer. That's how I got into gaming. And there must be some app where you can maybe pay to get like a personal message. And he got Nolan North to do
Cameo or something. Yeah,
I think it was Cameo. That's it. To do a little message from Nolan North, and I'm like, man, my son has no idea what's going on behind the scenes to make things happen.
Well, you've listened to the show. I'm sure you've heard my story about my partner at the moment. Yeah.
Yes.
Phoebe,
yes.
and you know, we've been trying to have a kid for the longest time, and like the very organic past. She's like, you know, I really like the name Calliope. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Calliope.
Calliope.
Yeah, you're gonna do the whole like, I'm gonna push her away.
Oh, I hope not. None of that. Or just bring in. I'll happily stay in the underworld. Yeah, so I'm glad that you have a similar story, because like that's one of the things that we're sort of doing right now is we're in the middle of this IVF process, and you know, we're just kind of like, she's actively just looking for names everywhere. So we've been watching movies and TVs and like, why are we on the credits for this long? She's like, I'm looking for names. I'm like, okay, cool, sure, why not? Yeah, because like my son,
it's hard.
Yeah, like my son's not named after anything. Like his name was Oliver until I saw him, and then I'm like, nope, you're James. It just came out. I'm like, this is James. And so I'm hoping that, you know, that we end up working out a cool name if everything goes the way we want it to. And, you know, because like I'm this interesting believer in like names are important, obviously, and they are bestowed upon you, but they need to be yours. Like you become that name. It's the same as like, although my name is Ryan, most people know me as Betson, right? Which is my surname, and what it means to be a Betson is very different from me to my dad, who like doesn't like being called Betson at all. You know, so it's this kind of interesting balance. And with my son, like I gave him a name that was flexible enough that he could be James, Jimmy, Jim. You know, his middle name's Thomas. He could be JT, he could be JB. Like, I mean, whatever he wants it to be. Like I gave the beginning, but he takes it and makes it his. So like I'm worried about going down the line of like, I've named you after this thing.
Here is my son Kratos.
Yeah, this is my son Kratos. Kratos Atreus Betson. You know, Phoebe got no name in. It was just all me. So yeah, I can you know, even with Calliope, I'm like, you can get Calliope, you can get Callie, you can get P, you know, you can get somewhat creative with it. And like same as Nate, you know what I mean? Like you can kind of, like Nate's such a good name. Hey Phoebe, I know you're listening in the other room. Consider Nathan. Consider
Great
Nathan.
Name. My other son's Sully. No, I'm joking.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Because we watched the Uncharted, like once again, in falling back into movies, we watched the Uncharted movie again the other day after watching the original Tomb Raider film. It's better than Tomb Raider. It's not good though, but it's better than Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider has not aged very well. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
How the fuck did we get there?
I don't know.
Playing games with your kids.
You're regretting it already. I can tell. Done bringing joy.
No. I love a good tangent because we're about to hit the news. We're about to jump into the meaty part, and this is where we get to like we won't tangent. We'll kind of stay in the place. There is another game that I've been playing. Can't talk about it just yet. Right around the corner. We'll chat about it next week. Keen. But let's get into the section we call Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation. Now, I've done the news this week. Whoa, shock twist. Because Max is like, once we made the decision to not do the show, Max is like, sweet. And then change of plans. I'm like, oh no, I guess I have to do this now. So a little differently, laid out a little bit differently, but we'll kick things off. We mentioned it before. Let's talk a little bit more about Starfield. So Starfield has been causing some issues on PS5 and PS5 Pro without no real explanation. It's just been crashing all over the joint. But it should be noted that this is not a universal issue. Like I myself have had no issues at all, no crashes, a little bit of slowdown, like if anything too visually intense gets on the screen, like maybe it's like just loading as I land into the planet. But other than that, it's been pretty fine. But across sites like Reddit, reports of regular or even frequent crashes are becoming more and more common as the title enters its first and second week on Sony's console. As I mentioned, I've not dealt with it personally, but Push Square has reported the issue firsthand. So they ran a series of small tests and were able to speculate that the crashing is at least influenced by the graphic settings. So on the PS5 Pro, each mode, that is the visual, enhanced, and performance. So visual is your quality, enhanced is like your 40 frames per second VRR version, and your performance is your straight 60. With the frame rate uncapped, would quickly cause crashes across all of them. It was only within the capped 60 frames per second toggle were they able to advance in the game through the major in-game cities without the game shitting itself and freezing. However, consistent crashes were then seen when traversing the wilderness, so in any non-city based area. They were then able to circumvent this issue by disabling PISA 2 or the PSSR 2, which is the PS5 Pro's upgraded AI-driven upscaler, through the system's menu. However, if you have a PS5, you don't have PISA. You just have a PS5. So these issues just persist. Even Digital Foundry's fallen afoul of the dreaded crashes. In their technical review for Starfield, they said the following: unfortunately, both PS5 and PS5 Pro crashed somewhat regularly during testing, a phenomenon that didn't affect the Xbox Series release on launch. When crashing, the game locks up and becomes unresponsive, requiring a forced restart at the system level. We observed this behavior across multiple modes and configuration, so there is no obvious suggestion on how to avoid these issues, end quote. As of today, it's at the time of writing, Bethesda has confirmed it is aware of the crashing problems affecting a portion of the new Starfield player base, and they said the following on X. Quote, thanks for sharing your adventures across the settled systems this weekend. We've loved reading them. Pardon me, we're aware of some reported PS5 crashing issues and have narrowed them down to a small number of causes. We're addressing these in a hot fix we're aiming to release this week, and thanks for flagging, and we'll keep you posted. So as of right now, no hot fixes out and about, but it's interesting that another Bethesda game, Josh, as you alluded to before with Skyrim, seems to be having issues on PlayStation.
It's a little weird, right? Like, I think Starfield was probably, in terms of Bethesda launches, I know it launched obviously exclusively on the Xbox at the time, was
PC,
fairly bug-free, right? Like, relatively bug-free for a Bethesda title.
Yes.
So for it to launch, years later at this point and have these issues on PlayStation, it's actually quite odd. So I'm sure it's just the nature of the beast. But I do wonder, obviously this game would have had a PlayStation port before they pulled the plug and made it exclusive, because obviously this game was multi-platform before the purchase. So is it the case that they've gone back to that kind of build of the game and then built up to this version of the game that's ultimately launched on PlayStation, and there's something in the code that's throwing things out? Potentially, maybe not, but it's just a little weird that this game runs perfectly fine on Xbox. I don't think it's anything like done on purpose or anything. I think it's just one of those unfortunate events. But they've acknowledged it, so hopefully it gets fixed pretty quickly, and it doesn't seem to be super widespread.
No, and like I remember around launch there was this interesting issue. I forget where it was. I think it may have been like Sacred or something. That's right, it was with Ben, and that's about how he couldn't play Returnal on his PS5 for whatever reason, just wouldn't work. So there does seem to be some discrepancies in performance depending on which PS5 you happen to have. As I said, I've not had a single issue with it, as apart from minor slowdowns, a little bit of hitching as you may land, but it's been once, at the time of recording. It must be how PSSR is implemented. With Microsoft, across their Xbox using a similar infrastructure to that of PC, so any sort of upscalers or whatever are probably consciously or subconsciously built in the background to support your DLSS or your FSR, if you're running on AMD or NVIDIA. So it's seeing as like if you eliminate PSSR, it kind of gets rid of some of these concerns. Says that they may not be working on that original build that you mentioned. They may be using a ported PC or Xbox version, and there's just that little hiccup in that PSSR implementation, particularly if it's PSSR 2 compared to 1. Like, as of right now, I think most of the games that I've experienced on the Pro have been running really well. PSSR 2 has improved a lot of issues for many, like an example being Alan Wake and that weird shimmering effect. That's been reduced with PSSR 2. I had a little bit of that just on my standard PS5 with no way of correcting it, and I have gone back and tinkered with Alan Wake 2 a little bit, and some of that seems to be gone. So it's good that they're hot fixing it. But even then, it could be, how, it could be something as simple as how the DLC, whether it be Shattered Space or some Terra Armada, like how that changes everything. Who knows? I am not smart enough to understand how half the shit games do. Like, the idea of this is nothing and then something is made in it is fucking black magic to me. It's black magic. It's crazy. But speaking of Bethesda and Microsoft, you want to jump ahead a little bit and head into this story, I think. We normally do the one backwards and forwards. You happy to take the reins?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead, get in there.
Where would you like to go?
Let's talk ex-Bethesda exec. Let's get some Pete Hines up in there.
Yeah, yep, beautiful. So in a brutal and damaging section of a wider interview, ex-Bethesda boss Pete Hines has put Microsoft on blast without specifically naming names. As part of a chat with the journalist Kirk McKeed, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, he implies his former employees are not part of something authentic or genuine and it shouldn't be a surprise. Hines worked his way up the ranks at Bethesda as part of his 24-year tenure, but then departed shortly prior to the release of Starfield in 2023. The publisher was, of course, purchased by Microsoft for $7.5 billion as part of an unprecedented and largely contested acquisition back in 2021. Hines, it seems, was not particularly elated with the new parent company. Quote, "I was staying there because of this place still needs me. It just hit a point of, yes, it needs me. And I'm powerless to do what I need powerless to do what I think needs to be done to run the place properly, to protect these people, to maintain what we worked so hard to create, which is an incredibly efficient, well-run video game developer and publisher." End quote. And when I was unable to do that, I thought my job shouldn't involve the continuing way to run the place. I'm okay to swear here, right? It's not the most efficient publisher. Yeah,
it's fine.
If not the most efficient publisher in the games industry, it was way the fuck up there. And when I couldn't protect it, and I saw how it was getting damaged and broken apart, and frankly mistreated, abused, whatever word you want to use, I said I'm not going to sit here and watch this happen right in front of me. Without mentioning anyone specifically, Hines said there were people at Microsoft he genuinely held in high regard. But the worst part of the career was seeing how it actually worked. Again, quote, to talk is something, right? But I've very much been about what is the follow-up. Do you mean what you say, or are you just saying shit that sounds good, and then as soon as you leave the room, that's completely forgotten? Because that's not how we've ever operated at Bethesda. Finally, that's not to say that everything at Bethesda, as in what we did right. We probably did fucking come close to that, but that was absolutely our intention. We are going to do what we say we're going to do, and we genuinely believe it, and it's authentic. And truthfully, I still think Bethesda is just part of something that is not authentic and is not genuine, and that shouldn't be a surprise to you. End quote.
Well,
wild.
this is interesting. So Pete Hines, you said ex Bethesda boss. He was their head of marketing, from memory. So for him, like he was the one that I remember when all the FTC documents and stuff come out, and he was the one that with like all these emails came to light of him just being like, "The fuck is this?" So not super stoked on the acquisition, and I would kind of agree. I don't think Bethesda is in a better place by being purchased. I think they were purchased because they were having a very rough run. You know, it's particularly off the back of what's the one that
Fallout 76, and then they had
76 had a dodgy launch, but you know it's still pretty good now. Like I quite enjoy Wolfenstein Youngblood. That game was horrendous, as was Cyberpilot, the VR little spin-off, and things weren't coming up Millhouse for Bethesda. So very similar to the Activision purchase, I think in some ways. Like they were open to being purchased because of the background hum of controversy, where Bethesda was the background hum of we're going to fucking collapse if we don't do something. And then to have them come out and go like, oh yeah. And like, it also aligns with everything that people have spoken about when it comes to Microsoft anyway, right? Like there is no organic growth. Everything is through acquisition and mergers. Like no IP is truly theirs, really. And like even if you look at the back of an Xbox box and they show a series of of iconography and characters, all of them stem from somewhere else, right? Like, you know, if you look at a PlayStation box, you see Nate, Aloy, you know, fucking Sam Bridges, like you see all these characters that are uniquely PlayStation. Where the comment of authenticity and being genuine just don't exist within that side of Microsoft.
Yeah, it seems to me, and it is very consistent to what you said, that FTC letter where he was talking about Call of Duty being multi-platform, and that was around the time that they were going to start talking about Starfield, and he was referring to like, what are we doing here? Like, we're going to send Todd out, you know, to do press tours, and the first thing people are going to ask is, why is Starfield now exclusive when Microsoft's out here talking multi-platform with Call of Duty? So he was clearly upset with that fact. So when I hear genuine or authenticity, what I think that means to me is perhaps when Microsoft approached Bethesda, it was under the guise of, we want to purchase you and continue to have you run independently, right? Which they kind of did, right? Bethesda still published their own games. They still did their own press tours. That was seemingly the pitch. We'll buy you, we'll fund you, but you run your ship, right? Then they made the call to make games exclusive, which is, I think, where Pete Hines is referring to this, you know, authenticity piece. And no, Starfield's now exclusive. Redfall's now exclusive.
Redfall's fine. They can keep it.
You can keep it.
Yeah, turns out we're playing with that.
Yeah, we're playing that game now, right? Which, in one side of things, if I'm Microsoft at the time, makes sense. You're buying this publisher to, you know, grow the Xbox brand. But perhaps that wasn't what was sold to ZeniMax and Pete Hines specifically. Then to see the ABK acquisition happen, and the whole thing is multi-platform, we're keeping Call of Duty, we're signing deals, and, you know, this letter gets leaked from the FTC trial, it's pretty clear what was directed to ABK wasn't reflected to ZeniMax. And I think he also goes on in this interview and talks to the fact of the way that they were treated, right? They were kind of treated as second-class citizens as well. So I think they were probably sold independence, right? Keeping in mind you are being purchased by Microsoft, so you have to kind of go in knowing that you're not going to have that level of independence, but enough to kind of run your own ship for then to be pulled away from that, to now ultimately coming full circle, and now Bethesda games reappearing on PlayStation. We were just talking about Starfield before. So when he talks about, you know, talk is something, right, but it's very much about the follow-up. I think, again, we will work with you, we'll allow you to run your own ship. And then where's the follow-up of that? The follow-up's actually, no, we're taking your stuff exclusive. And then, you know, here we are now where that isn't the case.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I hadn't initially considered it that way, but that does, because I was thinking more reactionary rather than like the initial purchase. Mostly because I think something that a lot of people, a lot of consumers, and just the general populace tend to forget is that plans change constantly. And even something as simple as like, oh, you said, this company said this was going to happen and whatever. Like, yeah, fucking shit changes like all the time. And people can be wrong, and like the decision that they make can be the bad decision. It's this, it's the same as this games as a service stuff, right? Like, is it the best decision? No, but like, it's good that they did it. I'm not universal in that attitude, but like how they handled it was fucked. And what they originally said is how like, oh, this is a different pool of money that won't affect it won't affect our other studios or whatever. Immediately proven to be wrong now that all these studios are closing, right? So that's that same level of lack of genuineness in what was said. And in the handful of years from the ZeniMax purchase to the purchase of ABK, like the market completely changed. Right, like the console war completely changed. You are correct. Xbox completely changed. Like, so when the acquisition of ZeniMax came into play, the decision to have it all be exclusive made sense. Like, I disagreed with it at the time because I was missing out on shit. Because like, oh, anything with a legacy would still come across, which it turned out to be like Doom and Fallout presumably and whatnot, but they didn't really drop anything to kind of hold that sentence either.
No.
For them to pivot and then go, oh, now everything is no longer exclusive. It's everywhere. I understand why Pete Hines can be shitty, but like I've worked corporate. And what was the idea of what we envisioned when we started, when I maybe first started that job, to what it was like when I left was very, very different. Yeah. And that was through the fault of many, but also the fault of the market and the situations at the time that led to those changes. So like, although I enjoy reading this article because it just shits on Microsoft and that's fun for a PlayStation show to talk about, but depending on what Pete Hines is discussing specifically, it could either be like, oh, I was led a false bill of sale or whatever, or is it these were the agreements that now X amount of years later it's like, oh, but they got the better deal. Like,
it seems personal.
It does. He seems really
people. Hurt. Yeah, it seems personal and it seems about people. Like, I see it as they were there for this acquisition. It's kind of like,
well, I think a lot of them weren't keen for the acquisition.
No, I mean, look, ZeniMax was purchased at a time, like you said, that they were in a bit of a tough situation. They made a pivot to kind of make their studios make these multiplayer games that wasn't really working out. So it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, right? But I think, Pete is just saying we were treated differently to ABK, which was similar to us as a independent third-party publisher, but we're being put under these different rules. And maybe there was some internal kind of, clearly based on that leak, FTC letter, some pushback on that. Because you got to think, ZeniMax were purchased under the regime that their games were selling multi-platform. So all their studios were making games based on revenue that they expected to get for being these games, being multi-platform. To pull that away, to then also add these games to Game Pass. I'm sure a lot of their team were frustrated with that, right? Because they weren't meeting their quota, therefore they weren't getting their bonus because all of a sudden you're only selling on the Xbox platform and we're in Game Pass, of course, and PC. So I think this could all be about that and not so much about the exclusivity of it all. It's just about we were promised bonuses or we were promised whatever, and that didn't happen. But the other guys got that. Right?
Ooh, see, that's actually good consideration because of the conversation of like, yeah, this won't affect your bonuses, this won't affect your quarterly whatevers.
I've been there.
And like
seen that happen.
Yeah, and then suddenly they're like, oh, yeah, no, you guys aren't making enough money anymore. Like, what do you mean? You told us not to worry about these KPIs. Like, oh, yeah, about that. Yeah, like, I've had those conversations too, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you.
Yeah, but the new hire, who's got the same role as you, is getting paid.
Yeah, he got his because he has different criteria. He has different contract.
Yeah.
Oh, he just had me nasty flashbacks working corporate. Fuck. Assholes. But I do also want Pete Hines to come out and be like, "It's this guy. Fuck him directly." Like that's what I'd want. That's what I'd be keen. Just for the tea of it all,
I think it's Matt Booty.
It's probably his booty. Yeah. Take your pick, my dude.
let's maybe jump to state of play. Let's jump. Yeah. All right, let me just scroll my way up here. Did you want me to do this one, or you happy to
get in there?
All right. So, rumor state of play. Sony is planning to host its next state of play within the week, according to reliable leaker Nate the Hate. Great name. He took to X on April 9th to say, "I'll share the unconfirmed date I've heard for the next potential state of play, April 16th. Emphasis on unconfirmed." Writing in his replies, Nate the Hate clarified that he's unsure of the nature of the state of play, but expects it to be, quote, more third-party focused, end quote. Interestingly, the reveal of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, nearly said it, Resynced is also touted to take place that same day. That is a terrible name, Resynced.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Not very good at all.
State of Play's back.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you excited? I mean, the February one was fantastic. I feel like we're due for a, downturn.
I would agree. Like, February 1 was one that I genuinely left going, that was really good. Like,
awesome.
Not everything was for me, but there was very few dips of like, ugh. And what I always love about state of plays, especially when, a lot of the time with PlayStation, is they tend to be like, well, this is the next 18 months. This is what you're looking at for the next 6, but then we'll drop a couple of things that lead you to like 18 months from now, right? At most. So, additionally, like I have voluntarily stepped out of the speculative nature of state of plays, because since like early PS4, when PlayStation suddenly put cards against their chests, you're like, oh, I can't really just guess shit anymore because there's not enough like background information. So everything feels so overly speculative. And you just be like, fuck it, there'll be a new Gran Turismo, we might see an unknown chart. Like, and all of it is valid as a prediction, right? Mm-hmm. Or as a, potential, right? With additional hindsight, we can go, oh, well, it's not unlikely it's going to be this, it's unlikely it's going to be that. But, if I think about it, I reckon there'll be a sneaky GTA 6 in there, if you're super lucky. I think there will be, when a bit more Wolverine, it's kind of hinting at like what's kind of like probably another Saros trailer because it's right around the corner. Like they tend to like drop the trailer, which is an interesting thing that the PlayStation tend to do, is just before the release of their latest big thingy, they do a state of play just before it to be like, hey, here's the thing after the thing you're about to play. Which is very interesting. It's either like throws them off and be like, oh, why the fuck would I want to play Saros? I want to play Wolverine. But it's also been like, cool, why are you playing this through that? It's an interesting choice. But yeah, it's probably a bit of Wolverine. Mute in the chat adds James Bond. I fucking hope not, because I've seen that every trailer for the recorded past, and I am still less interested in it.
Pop back up.
Fucking Four Loop. Oh, Deathloop again. Just like, hey, this is Deathloop re-looped. And you're like, fuck, come on.
Yeah.
Like Toxic Commando's finally released, so that's not getting another trailer. Or I don't know. Like, I'm excited for it, and I like going in with a clear slate and limited to no expectations, because it does allow for things like February to be like, wow.
Yeah, and Sony has that. It's like, this is clearly like marketing commitments type state of play, where it's like, we have these third parties that we contractually said that we would present as part of a state of play. Because February was insane, right? That was nearly showcase level. Like Metal Gear Solid was there, a new Castlevania game was there, God of War Trilogy remake announcement, fantastic state of play, Kenner. But when I think of this state of play, and if it is more third party focused, I think about who typically shows up, and I think Capcom will be there. Yep. I would hope Konami's there. So I think we get an Onimusha release date. Yeah. Which is still slated for 2026, but we haven't got a physical release date. And same thing with Phantom Blade Zero. That's still 2026. PlayStation exclusive, but obviously a third-party developed game. I agree. I think Saros makes sense to be there.
But also knowing full well that everyone is just getting the fuck out of the way of GTA at the back end of the year. So normally I would find that these state of plays this early in the year go, hey, this is what you're going to get at the back end of the year. And the answer is, this is the back end of the year, you're getting a whole bunch of nothing, but you get GTA. But no one's releasing shit in that window.
Yeah. I would love a new. If I had to, like, 3 or 4 announcements that would blow my mind, which I don't think will happen. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. I think will be announced this year, but not happening. It'd be, that would get me off my seat.
That feels like a June state of play. Yeah, like
or even
vibe.
Summer Games Fest. Yeah. I would like to see, like, I think Konami will be there. I think we'll probably see an update to the Metal Gear Solid collection. I would love to see another announcement out of Castlevania. Because there is this rumored kind of AAA Castlevania game in development as well. And a new Tales of game. Going back to my JRPG roots. We're due. Tales of Arise was a very long time ago. So I would like personally, an Eastern focus. Give me a lot of Japanese, Korean games. I'm all for it. Wolverine, I kind of see having its own state of play.
That will absolutely happen, but this will be the next story. Like what we saw was the setup trailer. I think this will either be a gameplay trailer or meet the characters or they're letting you know what small. Other X-Men will be in there. I think,
yeah, and then June you kind of blow it out with maybe a live gameplay deep dive, not live, but
like here's 20 minutes of just playing fucking Wolverine or something.
Yeah, but I'm not expecting too much out of it. I mean, Sony's got a pretty packed year, all things considered, with everything that they've had gone wrong with games as a service. But yeah, I'm down. Like, I always watch these things live and try to keep your expectations intact. But Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, it's happening.
And then knowing that, Microsoft aren't having as much love at the minute, for the last couple of years, in terms of, console numbers. So it's a lot more beneficial for third parties to go to a state of play. Right, so now, back in the day when we were like, oh, hang on, that had a marketing deal with Xbox, so that's probably going to go over there. That doesn't exist anymore. Right now, it's like everyone's going to want to go here. So knowing that it's third party, it could be fucking anything, and that's cool because ooh, mystery box. But then it's that's so many thousand things it could be. Yeah, as we said, we'll probably get, we don't need it. We'll get more fucking, 007 and more of this and more in that.
Marvel Token. He's a new character,
But yeah, speaking of just more James Bond stuff, this week, I'll quickly jot down that. This week, it was announced IO Interactive's upcoming James Bond action-adventure game is getting a special limited edition PS5 DualSense. The 007 First Light controller is decked out with a gold and black color scheme, which matches the key art for the game itself, while there are lines leading to the touchpad that are clearly inspired by the iconic gun barrel sequence you see at the beginning of every James Bond film. Completing the design is the 007 logo right in the smack center of that touchpad. The controller is, quote, a celebration of Bond's return, end quote, to gaming, says the game's art director Rasmus Poulsen. Quote, the golden finish pays tribute to the elegance, legacy, and timeless style of the franchise, while the barrel-inspired detailing reflects the themes of the game and how it feels to play, as well as being a nod to one of pop culture's most recognizable visual signatures, end quote. Available in limited quantities, the controller will be up for pre-order on the 17th of April 2026, and it will launch day and date with the game on the 27th of May. It does look like another controller with a sticker on it, which I don't hate because I've got the Death Stranding control, which looks like there's a bunch of stickers on it, and I love it. God of War, it's just the red stripe on it, love it. Astrobot, it's just stickers, love it. But are you a James Bond guy?
No.
Okay, cool. So are you interested in First Light?
Yes.
Enough to get a controller?
No. I'm excited.
What
for
a
the
roller
game
coaster of emotions.
Yeah. Because it's first of all, I think IO is a great developer, and I like the Hitman games that they develop. So seeing them kind of pivot to a more of a Uncharted-esque kind of story with 007, I think it's great. The control itself, take it or leave it. I'm not a massive controller guy. I've got the 20th and 30th anniversary controllers sealed in box, and then I've got the Astrobot controller. Besides that, it's the plain white or black. I'm very boring with my controllers. But I mean, fans of 007 and James Bond might want to pick it up, but it is just very much a very gold controller.
Yeah, and because there was that release of PS 4 DualShocks that, there was like the gold, silver, and the weird bronzy rose goldy sort of color. And it does look like they've just taken the same paint, but they put a sticker of 007 on the front. And I've discussed numerous times about like, my lengthy collection of DualSense controls for no reason. Like I've got the 2 different, I don't know, so I've got the one of the Astrobots. I bought the one for my son. Got Astrobot. I got 2 God of War ones. Got Ragnarok and the 20th anniversary. I've got both the 20th anniversary DualShock 4 and the 30th anniversary DualSense. Death Stranding one. We got Ghost of Yotai. I've got like when I got the Pro, it came with the new white one. I'm like, fuck, why do I need more of them? And then there's a black one somewhere, and like very quickly we've accumulated quite a number of controllers. And I think moving forward, as I've talked about in the past, is that it'll only be for games that like hit me in a way, and I'm like, damn, that was really good, and I want this to remember the experience. And I do not think the 007 First Light will be, wow, what an incredible experience that I just must go buy this.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really, really great game that isn't part of the Game of the Year conversation for many people. But I think it'll be a solid, like, 8 out of 10 type game. Like, and that's fine, right? As long as it carries over the dynamic gameplay from a Hitman and kind of marries that with a bit more of a cohesive kind of narrative, more set piecey, more Uncharted-esque, which James Bond obviously was there first.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm down. I'm totally down to play it.
It's in the same vein. Like, granted, 007 and James Bond has a strong legacy within video games. Like, obviously, GoldenEye and 64 is a big one. But I remember playing The World Is Not Enough and Tomorrow Never Dies, the Pierce Brosnan ones on the PS1 at my mate's place when I was growing up. And, like, I enjoyed them, and they were a lot of fun, and I enjoyed them. But in the same vein to Indiana Jones, which is what inspired Uncharted, which then inspired Tomb Raider, which inspired Uncharted, and so on and so on and so on. Like, it's interesting to now once again experience a 007 game, which is taking history and knowledge from a previous set of games, which were then inspired by 007 before them. So it's nice to sort of get it on the other way, and I am curious to see what IO pull from to build this new version of 007 with it, not being a Pierce Brosnan or a Daniel Craig, or, directly being a movie connected.
It's a young Nathan Drake type person.
Yeah, kind of. It is like it's young James Bond, which is very cool. 007. Vinny in the chat does jump in and says 007 is just now Baby Uncharted. So yeah, bang on, absolutely bang on. It's Muppet Babies, but Look, I said, if you can take it, you can grab it, and you can throw a new look on it. Old can become new, and easy segue into apparently right now things are being beta tested, and we're looking at potentially a new UI design for the PS5.
Yeah.
Is it my turn or is it you or me?
I can do this one.
Get in, jump in. You got to be part of the show, Josh. You are part of the show. I'm so used to hearing the
voice. I'm just like, I'll just sit back and listen to this.
Get in.
All right. So, new look. Beta testers are starting to see an updated version of the PS5 home menu. The new layout incorporates a ribbon at the top, which can be navigated using L1 and the R1 buttons. This allows you to quickly...
you subconsciously did that, because when I read the article, I did it too.
Yeah. You got it. This allows you to quickly switch between different screens, including your games, library, media apps, PS Plus, and PlayStation Store. Currently, you can switch between games and media using those same controls, but the main panel features a lot of unnecessary icons, like the PS Store and the PS Plus icon. This is going to place the emphasis back on your games without putting those apps out of reach. In addition to redesigning the homepage of the PS5, it looks like Sony's also plotting some sweeping changes across the PS Store. An image circulating on social media from the system's beta program shows a new look layout for the storefront, complete with large Netflix-style tiles and a bunch of different filtering tags. Presumably, these more specific tags will help discoverability. As we can imagine, you can be able to combine them in a search function to help find exactly what you're looking for. Additionally, trailers will automatically play when you hover over a specific tile, much like Netflix. Every game also has a short description. So PlayStation UI update as well as a PlayStation Store change.
Yeah.
In tandem.
So there are screenshots out there. Like, I'm not part of the beta program. I assume you're not either.
No.
Because like they're like, hey, your console could be at risk if you say yes. I'm like, no chance. So there are some screenshots available on social media. When it comes to the store design, it looks very similar. Like if you go to one of your games on your cross media bar and you go down, like
I like how you call it the cross media bar.
Sorry, I've been forever.
PS3 brain, don't worry.
Sure.
Got ya.
Like if you go down and if you click the game and look down, like it'll show you, we can view product, all the description, and then also show you like streams or whatever, broadcasts that are the layout, pardon me, does look like a nicer version of that, which is good because I hate that shit to the bottom. I ignore it intentionally every time because it looks like arse. And implementing it in the store is not a bad decision because I think the store... The trouble that they're having with the PSN at the moment is discoverability at large, right? Like shit gets lost, and especially with the prevalence of like AI shitty art and whatever, at least being able to see the tags, which could then expand your searches further, or at least get a description and be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll click on that. Because the amount of time that I'll be like that, I'll be instantly thrown off by not the best art, and I'm like, and then I won't click on it. But who knows? That game could be like the next game. In the same way that I talked earlier about cleaning up, it was like the name got me, the picture didn't quite get me, but the description got me. So like this could do that same thing for other people. Be like, oh, okay, well maybe that's not too bad. The general UI design of like the main experience, like being able to like section it off a little bit's not a bad thing. Like I've become accustomed to just going, if I want to go to the store, I just hold left as far as I can. I'm like, yeah, I'm at the store now. Cool, done. But being able to like jump between them and not have them blend together would be nice. Because even like just being able to start at the welcome page and not have then your PSN on this side and whatever, like that would be awesome. And then maybe have a welcome page for each. Or, you can kind of tinker and customize each of the different sections. Yeah. But yeah, like it's like when I went from PS3 to PS4, I was like, this is so different. Oh, I don't different. And then I'm like, this is fine. And then 4 to 5, I'm like, oh, it's different. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. 4 to 5, the only thing which they updated later where you can readjust the buttons is I had in my mind how to turn the PS4 off with my eyes closed, right? It's like hold it down, It's like now it's a tap. I'm like, what are we doing here? Let's just keep it consistent. But look, this UI change for me is cosmetic. Specifically the UI, right? I do like keeping PlayStation Store and Plus separate. Like personally for me, because I'm a physical gamer, it's not too annoying because I put the disc in and the console will jump to the game that I put the disc in, and you can kind of hit.
As predominantly digital, that's not the experience that I have. Yeah.
So if I was a digital gamer though, and I had a plethora of games in my library, I mean, you're talking 2 clicks or 3 clicks from Welcome Hub plus Store into your games. You're saving, I don't know, 0.5 of a second doing that. But this does kind of break that out. And I don't mind it. And I think the change to the store is fine if it increases discoverability. Like it looks like it's really focusing in on recent releases, right? Because you can see, like I'm looking at the screenshot now, you can browse by mood and genre, and those tiles look very much smaller, more what it looks like today. So I think it's probably allowing a bigger focus on recently released games, and I think if you're Sony, like this is prime marketing advertising space that we can sell.
Oh, the amount of money that it costs to be on that front page of the PSN, or even to be in any of those little sub display boxes, whatever, is profound. So yeah, I imagine this then gives them another reason to market, and especially as we both mentioned with discoverability. Like if you go in, what I always do is I open the store, I go right across the browse, sort by new to old, and then I see a bunch of garbage, and then I might find a game that actually came out today. So like be able, as they're progressively improving the store overall, these are small little details, and I think had they still had all the slop and stuff and that continuously drops on the PlayStation, and then to introduce this feature, you would just then get a better look at all the shit.
Yeah.
So I think
and it might look and play or run better on a handheld. Right.
Oh, that's a very good point. It is very handhold
handheld friendly.
Yeah, handheld friendly. Yeah.
Big icons using L1 R1. Sorry.
Ooh.
We're all ready. Bring back the Vita.
That's good. Man, this is funny. So it is, we are 434. Episode 2 of For the Players was us pitching a Vita 2. So a lot of time has passed. No update, no changes.
Yeah.
That Simpsons reference, with like Skinner and Bart out in the field is like, episode 434. No changes.
No changes.
All right, let's get into the quick bits. I'm going to throw this last one in there just because it's in there. Hazelight Studios, led by the outspoken director Joseph Fares, has announced this week it has hit a collective 50 million units across their trilogy of releases. So, breaking it down, A Way Out, which was the Brothers in Prison Break game, 13 million. It Takes Two, Game of the Year winner. You play as two little dolls and you're helping your kid understand divorce with a weirdly French yet possibly Mexican book of love. 30 million units. And then Split Fiction, which I adored, where you play two different writers as they get plonked into this manifested world of their imagination, sitting at 7 million. Split Fiction, surprisingly lower than I would have expected. However, they did hit their numbers really quick. Where I think A Way Out kind of had that long tail to it as people started realizing what Hazelight doing, being kind of big and impressive and massive. And then It Takes Two blowing up, Game of the Year. No doubt White hit that number.
Yeah. Reminds me very much of like the Telltale games where it's like Walking Dead is It Takes Two and it's phew. And then it's like there's a drop, right? Because there was
that Back to the Future one originally that was fine, and then Walking Dead shot them up. Yeah, that's a great analogy, actually.
Yeah. I played Way Out and It Takes Two, and I played parts of Split Fiction. I think those games are a little overrated. Personally, I think.
Yeah, admittedly, I don't think It Takes Two was Game of the Year worthy at all. I thought it was very, very good. When it came out, it was kind of in like the time where like my marriage was kind of shit. So like it's a little close to home. So I haven't gone back to it yet. But Split Fiction, I played front to back with my son. So like for me, my connection to that game is very different. Is it a Game of the Year level? No. But I have a very wholesome sort of wraparound.
Where I played with my wife and it nearly resulted in a divorce because she's not a gamer. And it was like, if you don't make this jump,
it's got to get
So we stopped
in here.
So I had to hire someone else to step in to do it.
Kojima Productions appears to be starting work on Fizzant in proper soon, as reported casting calls for characters have been picked up by MP First. The outlet claims that the developer is currently searching for actors to fill a variety of roles aboard a hijacked bus. This includes a villain-esque character to teenagers. So Fizzant is what looks to be the next Kojima game outside of OD. OD being the Microsoft exclusive one. And Fizzant is the one connected to, was it Sony Studios?
Yeah. He actually spoke about when he announced it, like the excitement of like Sony Pictures and Sony Music. So
that was the one where they did the big drone pullback out of the
and Herman Holster standing there with a big smile on his face. But it looks like it's very much a return to like stealth action. But this game's still
it's so fucking far away. It's far, but cool. Like cool. Movement's cool. Like, but saying that the speed at which they were able to turn out Death Stranding 2 after Death Stranding 1 is really impressive. But knowing that was built off something else and this is something new, there won't be that quick turnaround. There will be some time, and if he is working on OD at this, simultaneously, like where are they going to choose to focus moving forward? But speaking of Microsoft, though, Microsoft might have made the decision to internally to delay Fable out of its late 2026 release window. Journalist Jeff Grubb of Giant Bob has claimed. He has said, quote, I'll say that I've heard that Fable has been pushed internally. Pardon me, that doesn't mean it's coming out next year. Apparently, they're still trying to get it out this year, but they are worried about the launch of GTA 6. And so, if it's getting delayed beyond the release of GTA, it could push it into December, which might make it a prime candidate to get delayed into 2027, end quote. Max is going to be pissed because that's his number one draft pick, and he's going to be so bummed. And Paul is just going to beat us even harder, which is a real shame. But yeah, like I said, everyone's just getting out of the way of GTA 6, man.
Move out the way.
You keen for Fable?
I am on a wait and see with Fable. Again, with my JRPG roots. I don't know. I think it's the Western RPG mixed with this British humor that
British humor's got me like. That's the selling point for me, actually.
Yeah, I need like a character that's, be beaten down and, his brother's been killed and you're doing all this thing. Like it's like,
but like because like Richard Ayoade's in the trailer. Everyone knows him from IT Crowd and whatnot. So like having him in the game sets the comedic tone for me, and I'm super down. I like that. That's the framing for me. Like whatever the story is, couldn't give a shit. When they're like, oh, the protagonist is all fucking weird looking. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make the most ugliest character you've ever seen. So like, who cares? But no, I'm keen. It looks quite good.
I'm keen too. I'm just waiting on reviews.
Yeah,
for that one. Yeah.
What the? Oh yeah. Cool. Next up, Jez Corden, during a live stream, stated that, quote, if they take Call of Duty out of Game Pass this year, which is a possibility from what I've heard, it'll reveal some of the cracks in the strategy, end quote. Yeah, apparently the rumor mill is that Call of Duty will no longer be in Game Pass, period. So previously, the expectation was that it would be across all tiers of Game Pass, then they exclusively put it in premium, so you'd have to pay a big honk of money for it. And with the underwhelming success that the last Call of Duty was, looks like they're going to be taking it out of Game Pass entirely. So you mentioned, not to spoil your show, which when's your episode drop? Friday. You did touch upon this with Vinny. Give us a bit of a teaser of where you lie on this.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you read through some of the FTC stuff, and it's like a lot of this deal was hinged on like commitments made with Call of Duty, and they did talk about having Call of Duty available in Game Pass. My view on it was that I think the structure of Game Pass will change, but I would see removing Call of Duty really upsetting the apple cart. So I think you build around it. You have this top tier, whether they call it whatever they ended up calling it, if they do rename it or whatever, including Call of Duty. But this is like the expensive tier. This is what's got cloud. It's got everything, right? And it might even be an increase as to what it is today. But I think you work down from that. So it's like if you're going to get Game Pass for Call of Duty, it might be more than the 30 USD that it is today. But we're adding in Netflix. We're doing this to justify the increase in price. But it's going to cost more. I think where you get away from Call of Duty is tiers below that, which they kind of have today.
Yeah.
But what's missing is like, I think a middle tier where it's just day one releases minus Call of Duty. Doesn't have cloud, doesn't have all the other fluff. And you kind of wedge that right in between, because Game Pass is going to need to fundamentally change, because the series consoles will be the only ones needing Xbox Live. If Helix is a PC hybrid, the expectation is Xbox Live is not needed to play multiplayer. And you can't really be running a PC version of Game Pass, a console version of Game Pass. Those things need to come together.
Well, they have been up until this point.
Yeah, so they're going to need to reshuffle things. And I think Asha Sharma, there was a leaked memo that came out today that she had mentioned that Game Pass is too expensive. So I think what will likely happen is a formation of another tier. And it's still day one releases, but it's just Xbox published stuff. And maybe third-party games in Game Pass. but no Call of Duty, no cloud gaming, and you might get it kind of closer to what it was before the big price increase, which seems to be driven by Call of Duty specifically being in there. But pulling it out entirely, I feel like that would cause... I mean, is there legalities behind pulling it out of... I know they own it, but is there any legalities behind some of the FTC stuff around commitments to Call of Duty being available in Game Pass? I don't know. But they could do it ultimately if they chose to. But it'd just be interesting to see the reaction, because I think a lot of the Xbox hardcore are happy for Call of Duty to be removed on the basis that the price drops.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up question. So having not read what Ashashana has said, is it, when she says too expensive, is it too expensive on the monthly, as in for the customer, or is it too expensive to operate as a business?
So the note is from, again, an internal memo. She's just simply said as become too expensive and that we need to find a better value equation. And essentially that the version of Game Pass today isn't the final version of Game Pass.
All right, so I think... So value equation implies customer facing. So at least the way I would interpret it, right? So
but that could also be seen as what you get for your money. Not so much that the price needs to come down. It's more to say the value equation of what you're getting for your $30 doesn't meet the customer where they are.
Yeah.
And that's where, there's been conversations with Netflix and things like that being incorporated, and who knows what Microsoft will do. So they've really got two parts, right? It's either reshape Game Pass with Call of Duty removed and maybe try to reduce the price. That's unlikely given the way subscription services work. The other option is to add more to the premium tier, perhaps even increase the price or keep it as is, but to satiate the gamers who don't want Call of Duty but still want the Xbox Day One games, this formation of a middle tier that basically becomes what Ultimate was before it got the price hike, but doesn't have Call of Duty in it. So it's like, if you want Call of Duty, you can still get it in Game Pass, but you're paying $35 a month. But we're giving you Netflix as well,
so
to justify it.
Using a sentence that littered your previous episode, in this economic climate, the idea of increasing the price of a streaming service is standard, but we all fucking hate it. So even if they loaded a stack of shit to it, people just see number at month, right? And if, especially with this new management over at Microsoft, Microsoft Gaming, which we or Xbox, whatever the fuck they actually want to call it anymore, the big angle heading into everything with Game Pass was all about how it's good value for the consumer. It's good, it's very consumer friendly. That was the big word floating around Xbox around their decisions, and why the ABK purchase seemed to go in the face of it not being so customer friendly if they exclusive everything. So I think it would be a very bold decision, and I think would be it's risky as fuck, and I don't think they would do it, but I'd like them to. Would be pull Call of Duty out and go, look, we're terribly sorry, we're gonna do this, but Game Pass is now $23 a month. So you still get everything else you get, you just don't get Call of Duty, and we've actually dropped the price. That would be balls, and they're like, look, we understand that in this economic climate, shit's expensive. Shit's really expensive. So let's take some of that burden away, and we've now reduced the price of Game Pass. We're also taking things away. But because that's the only way that I think that they could use the version of Game Pass they have now and readjust it to everyone and go like, oh yeah, maybe we should get Game Pass.
Yeah,
especially if they start with the idea of Game Pass dropping everywhere as well. You know how they've talked about it for years. They want to make a bespoke version for like your TV and your mobile, and everything is an Xbox. I know they've kind of shut on that campaign, but like that, I think that part of the campaign is still in their mind, knowing that Helix, if it falls through, they're still going to want to proliferate the market. And if they put Game Pass everywhere and Call of Duty is free everywhere, they have immediately like kneecapped the revenue of Call of Duty even more. Like right now, it's predominantly PlayStation, right? Because PC Game Pass exists. Xbox exists. So the only like direct guaranteed, box sticker price is from PlayStation. So this will grow that and allow them to put Game Pass everywhere without the expectation that Call of Duty comes with it everywhere.
Yeah, and we had this exact discussion, and it gets tricky. It's like, well, if you pull Call of Duty out and I'm another Xbox studio, I'm kind of going, what about us? We want box sales as well.
And that's when,
that's where Pete Hines' comments come in as well. So that's what leads me to think they'll build around it. And the way that they maybe can justify the price that it is today is like, okay, but we're introducing a family plan or discounts if you buy in bulk for 12 months, which they don't have currently.
Which is so bizarre, by the way, that they don't have a yearly subscription. It's because it's so expensive per month that if they do it as a yearly, it seems fucking atrocious.
But a family plan would be great. And I think that's where I think you build around Call of Duty. And so we got an ad-free, ad version that's $10 a month that's got ads. No Call of Duty, but ads.
Your answer is correct. Like, it's capitalism. Like, I bitch about capitalism all the fucking time on this show. Like, the idea of them reducing the price of something, that's not going to happen. It never will happen. Like, I am just weirdly optimistic. But, I think it's the same as you. Like, they might build to a particular tier, and that tier will not be available everywhere. But, there's some price adjustments in there. Yeah. Interesting. I probably should have put this news before that, but a hacker group, Shiny Hunters, has claimed to have breached Rockstar Games, and it has since been confirmed by said team. Quote, "We can confirm that a limited amount of non-material company information was accessed in connection with a third-party data breach. This incident has no impact on our organization or our players." End quote. Rockstar gets done again. Right on the precipice of GTA 6. Bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah. I mean...
No,
no left, right, and center.
No major leaks coming out. There's been no gameplay stuff. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. Like, in a digital future, which is where we are and where we're rapidly going, those securities is needed more than ever before. And yeah, it's just super easy to get in and out. This one I did for Max, even though he's not even here. Persona 1 and 2 re-releases are being hinted by 30th anniversary merchandise, with anything that is related to original Persona is being called Persona 1 Origins, while anything related to Persona 2 is named Persona 2 Duality. Suspicions are on the rise because Atlas has never used either of these subtitles in the past. Obviously, Persona 1 and Persona 2 are a little different to, say, 3, 4, and 5, with 3 being the big pivot that kind of set them up into this new journey. I think similar to like Grand Theft Auto is 1 and 2 are kind of something different, but the origins are there. And then 3 goes, okay, this is what Grand Theft Auto is. And I think Persona's in that same space. So it wouldn't hurt to people experience, Persona 1 and 2 for the first time, likely, because they drool everywhere. Because like Persona 3 and 4, they got remastered, a couple years back. Are you a Persona guy?
No.
I thought you were a JRPG man.
I know. It's the whole. That's the only.
Oh, the high schooly JRPG.
The high school thing.
Do it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Metaphor Fantasio, I love. So it is very much the high school thing. But yeah, we are getting. I think they're remaking Persona 4.
Yes,
Persona 5 is obviously quite modern. We got 3. So I think they will probably do 1 and 2 in Alla Trials in the Sky, which is another JRPG series where the first series of games are like, pixelated, different styles of games to what the modern ones are. And it's like from the ground up remakes, voice acting, whatever. I think, why not?
Because even Persona, like they are a spin-off of, was it Shin Megami Tensei, right? So they're not even, so like 1 and 2 are kind of more, I presume, in vain to Shin Megami Tensei, and then they kind of came its own thing. So whether they, rejigger these first 2 to be more in line with what we know Persona to be now, who knows? Could be exciting. Quantic Dream's Star Wars Eclipse, which has been like half a decade in development, is reportedly, quote, at this stage, is still looking to be years off from completion, end quote.
What's David Cage doing? Come on.
Apart from a bunch of, things in the background being gross. But look, I like Quantic Dream. I think Detroit Become Human was fucking fantastic. So having that in a Star Wars world, it seemed such a cool idea. But what are they doing for it to take this fucking long? Now, I understand that anytime you're working with big IP, it's like every decision has got to be run through like 100 people and be ticked 1,000 times. And I imagine in a game with as many branching storylines, if they are doing Eclipse in a similar vein to your Heavy Rains, your Beyond Two Souls, your Detroit Become Human, maybe they all paths need to be run through someone to be like, well, that's not in line with the Star Wars lore that we've butchered already, so don't butcher it more or make it actually what people want to see.
Where's the midichlorians?
Yeah, where's the midichlorians? Can you just where's the part that we just realized that the Force is blood cancer? Can we just address
We
that?
need the character to walk around yelling out Watto, and you got to tap X.
Ha! Oh, the game of the year right there.
Yeah. Jason. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be so stoked. Anakin.
Yeah.
Anakin.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's quite funny. I'd be really keen. I'd be genuinely really keen for that. All right, and finally from the quick bits, because I did not do any upcoming games, but it has reportedly cost Bungie over $200 million, end quote, to create Marathon, potentially stretching to, quote, more than $250 million, end quote, says a new report from Forbes writer Paul Tassi. He clarifies the quote, that does not include the ongoing costs for maintenance and new content now, end quote. When taking into account post-launch support, the figure will likely still be going up. Now, I don't believe you've been messing with Marathon at all. We were provided, Max and I were both provided review codes. I have not gone back. Because, it was just, it's so niche that I was like, nah, ain't for me. But, $250 million, that's, the budget of Spider-Man 2, I think.
Yeah.
So it's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But, I see it in two ways, right? Does it mean it's going to be difficult for them to recoup that money? Absolutely. However, the amount of games as a service that fail because the studios behind them refuse to invest money in them. You think about all those Square Enix games as a service where they're like, we have a 10-year plan. And then a month later, they're like, well, and that's because they weren't willing to invest the time and or money.
Highguard's another example of that, right?
Highguard's exactly that.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I hope Sony is smart enough to know that they've got something here. I think Analytics, who kind of do the predictive analysis of game sales when we don't have a number, I think they think that they're based on their projections that the game sold about 1.2 million copies. Yeah. So it's probably another mil or two away from breaking even. But it is a game.
But then, of course, that ongoing cost, right?
It's got that, ongoing cost, but there is recurring revenue there. And I think the game's reviewed extremely well. From a Metacritic perspective, the people who love it really do love it. So I think ultimately it will be okay. I don't think anyone ever expected it to be Destiny. But I think Sony
I take that back. I think a lot of people did because they didn't know what they were getting into. They're like, "Oh, it's Bungie are making a new shooter. It's got to be more Destiny, right?" But then, I myself, I'm not knowledgeable in what Marathon was, right? So even it wasn't until deep into the launch marketing of not launch marketing, the development marketing of this game that I was like, "Oh, this is based on an old IP." Oh. That changes things. So even something simple as that, knowing what it comes from, right? And then how they're changing it. But yeah, I think so a lot of people would have gone, oh, it's more Destiny. And then they've gone in, because I know with Max, an example, and it's part of the reason he was originally hesitant, was oh, I know the gameplay is going to be really good, but will everything else be in that Destiny vein or something different? And it was something different, which means it didn't really align with him.
One for the, you do one for the soul, but the next one's for the brain. So back to Destiny.
That's it. Yeah, they're fuck, this is not did as well as with Destiny 3 it is.
Yeah.
Destiny 300 million, that's what the budget for that one will be. Yeah, then that's all the quick bits. I failed to do any upcoming games for the week. Pragmata, I guess.
Pragmata the 17th. That's what you need.
That's for the one everyone wants to pay attention to. Is that reviews are out. It's looking really good. Oh, hang on. Let me just quickly check. as well as Mouse PI for Hire. That one's coming out this week as well. I just have to do a quick check. So 2 pretty anticipated games coming out. Obviously, a much more independent game with Mouse coming out of Playside here in Melbourne, and there's a second development team on it whose name I can't remember. And then Bandai with
Capcom.
Capcom. Sorry, the PR people are very similar, so I kind of forget which one's which. And then Namco. Oh wait, no, what the fuck? Because
they are both Japanese companies. I
so
don't know what
weird.
you're implying
it's super weird. No, the PR company locally for Namco, the Bandai, and Square are the same company.
Okay, yeah.
So it's confusing to like who you email. But then like some Capcom but then there's Capcom, which then is done through a different PR agency. So like I was like, is it Bandai or is it Namco? And like, no, it's fucking Capcom. Like, oh, okay, well then the Capcom's these guys over here then. So that's me getting completely mixed up. It's just Japanese shit, and I assume Japanese company. But yeah, so it's coming through Capcom. Big expectation. That game was, sort of the release date moved. But it's finally coming. So you're keen for it. It's looking positive. But yeah, it's something to worth checking out this week. But as we fucking hit near on the 2-hour mark, we should probably wrap this bad boy up. Big thank you to you all for joining, watching the show, taking part of it. But of course, big thank you to you, Josh, for literally just taking time out of your random Tuesday evening when I was like, hey, what are you doing? You're like, fuck, that's a great idea. Let's do it. So thank you, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No, it's been great to jump on. There's multiple points where I'm like, oh, I need to talk now. I can't just listen.
But no, it's been good. It's been enjoyable, and I'll hope to return the favor at some time in the future, or I'll come across and join you guys on Dodge, Parry, and Roll. Because the you guys do a little bit different. You kind of do it how For the Players was originally. Like when we first started, we had a section about the news, and then the idea was like, this is the topic of the show. And we'd pick a topic that we'd break down and discuss and sort of pull apart. So it would be quite fun for me to return to the old way of doing it.
For sure. You're welcome anytime.
Which will be
we'll definitely set something up.
Blast as well. But yeah, give them the pitch, give them the lowdown. Where can they find you on the socials, on the pod, and so on?
So on YouTube and audio feeds at Dodge, Parry, and Roll. It's Vinny and I each fortnight talking video games and mostly just existential crisis stuff. We're both in our 30s, so we're both we're getting close, to the end.
Yeah, and it's rapidly getting there. It's confronting.
Yeah. But yeah, fortnightly YouTube audio feeds. We release every second Friday. So yeah, check us out.
Beautiful. And yourself on social medias?
At Joshua Rosa on Twitter.
Which is it is above your head as well. For those that are watching on the YouTubes, but it will be in the description, etc. for on the podcast, etc. But let's get the fuck out of here. All right, so this PlayStation conversation happens normally on a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join the conversation, you can head to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, X, which I only really use like one of them, which is just Twitter. Those links are in the description below. If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/popculturesweek. Watch us record this show live. We can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can tell your friends, tell your family about the PlayStation Pod. If you are listening to us on podcast service, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. And if you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturist. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Josh LaRosa.
There you go. Yeah. And that was For the Players.
Goodbye.
Did that feel weird?
No, felt good.
Awesome, good. No, I mean the idea of like, do I get to throw my name at the end of the show now?